Let's be honest for a moment about a feeling that is incredibly difficult to admit even to yourself. You are sitting on the couch next to him. Maybe the TV is on, or maybe you are both scrolling through your phones. Physically, he is right there. You can reach out and touch his arm. But emotionally, it feels like he is 1,000 miles away. There is a specific kind of loneliness that only exists inside a marriage. It is the silence that hangs in the air during dinner, not because you are angry at each other, but because you simply don't know what to say anymore. It is the transformation of a passionate romance into a polite, functional partnership. You discuss the bills, you discuss the kids' schedules, you talk about what needs to be fixed around the house. You have become excellent roommates, efficient business partners running the family Inc., but you have lost the lovers who used to stay up all night just talking. If this resonates with you, I want you to take a deep breath and let your shoulders drop. You are not alone, and you are not crazy for feeling this way. Millions of women wake up one day and realize that somewhere along the line, the spark didn't explode, it just quietly faded. You might find yourself asking, is he happy? Does he even see me anymore? And perhaps the most painful thought of all, is this it? Is this the rest of my life? This silent drift is the most dangerous phase of a relationship because it doesn't look like a crisis. There is no yelling, no slamming doors, just a quiet growing distance. But I want you to know that this distance is not a dead end. In fact, recognizing this silence is the very first step to breaking it. The psychology of male happiness. So how do we fix this? How do we bridge that gap and bring the light back into his eyes when he looks at you? Most women, when they sense their husband is unhappy or distant, instinctively go into fixing mode. Our nurturing brain kicks in. We think, if I just do more, he will be happier. So we cook his favorite meal more often. We keep the house cleaner. We try to look perfect. We ask him 12 times a day, is everything okay? Is something wrong? But here is the counterintuitive truth that nobody tells you. He doesn't need more from you in terms of labor. He doesn't need a cleaner house or a better manager. In fact, trying to manage his happiness often makes him retreat further. The psychology of male happiness is fundamentally different from ours. While women often connect through conversation and face-to-face interaction, men connect through emotional safety and competence. When a man is unhappy in a marriage, it is rarely because his wife isn't doing enough chores. It is usually because he feels he can no longer win with her. He feels like a disappointment. If he feels that nothing he does is quite right, or that he is constantly being critiqued, he shuts down. His own happiness looks like silence, but underneath that silence is a man who is desperate to feel like your hero again. He doesn't need you to work harder. He needs you to shift your energy. He needs an atmosphere where he feels admired, not analyzed. This isn't about submitting or changing who you are. It is about understanding the secret language of his emotional needs. Once you stop trying to dough and start learning how to be a source of peace for him, the dynamic changes instantly. The promise of transformation, this might sound like a tall order right now, especially if you are feeling exhausted and unappreciated yourself. I understand that. You might be thinking, why do I have to be the one to change? Why doesn't he make the effort? That is a valid question. But the beauty of the steps we are about to walk through is that they are not about you doing more work. They are about you reclaiming your power. When you change the frequency you are broadcasting, he has no choice but to tune into it. Over the course of this video, I am going to hand you a roadmap. We're going to cover 7 specific psychological steps that will wake him up from his slumber. We aren't going to talk about spicing it up with cheap tricks. We are going to talk about deep emotional anchors that trigger his biological instinct to pursue you, protect you, and cherish you. By the time we reach the end of these steps, you won't just have a happier husband. You will have a man who looks at you with that look, the one you haven't seen in years. The look that says, I am so lucky she is mine. Are you ready to turn the tide? Let's begin with step 1. Step 1, restoring emotional safety, why he shut down, the logic of withdrawal. If you want to build a house, you don't start with the roof. You start with the foundation. In a marriage, that foundation is emotional safety. Without it, no amount of date nights or lingerie will make a lasting difference. To rebuild this safety, we first have to understand the mechanics of why he pulled away in the first place. Picture this scenario. He comes home from work. He walks through the door, maybe mumbles a hello, grabs a drink, and heads straight for the television or his phone. You try to engage him, maybe ask him about his day, but you get one-word answers. Fine. Okay. Tired, it feels like he is shutting you out on purpose. It feels like rejection. But let's look at this through the lens of male psychology. When a man is under stress, whether it is financial pressure, career insecurity, or just the general weight of responsibility, his brain operates differently than yours. A woman's brain is generally wired to process stress verbally. When you are stressed, talking about it helps release the tension. You seek connection to feel better. A man's brain, however, is often wired to solve problems or conserve energy. When he is overwhelmed, his instinct is to retreat into what relationship experts often call the cave. He isn't trying to punish you with his silence. He is trying to reboot his system. He is turning down the volume on the world so he can regain his composure. Here is the crucial part that often causes the drift. If he feels that his home is another place where he has to perform, answer questions, or defend himself, he will not see home as a sanctuary. He will see it as a second job. If he feels that he is constantly disappointing you, that he didn't fix the sink right, that he didn't listen well enough, he isn't earning enough. He internalizes a deep sense of failure. Men are driven by a need to feel competent. They need to feel like they are winning. If he feels like he is losing at marriage because he can't seem to make you happy, he will stop playing the game. He withdraws because it is safer to stay silent than to try and fail again. So when we talk about making him happy again, the first step is not about doing something for him. It is about creating a space where he feels safe to just be. It is about removing the pressure when he realizes that you are not another problem to be solved, but a safe place to land. The walls he built around his heart will naturally start to come down. He needs to know that when he is with you, he is safe from judgment. That is the soil in which his happiness can grow again. The zero criticism challenge. Now that we understand the logic of his withdrawal, we have to take action. And I'm going to be honest with you, this step is the hardest one in the entire program. It requires a level of self-discipline that feels unnatural at first. I call it the zero criticism challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to commit to eliminating every single negative comment, correction, or constructive suggestion directed at your husband. I can hear you protesting already. But what if he forgets to take out the trash? What if he dresses the kids in mismatching clothes? What if he drives too fast? Here is the reality. We often disguise criticism as help. We think we are just improving things. We say, why did you buy that brand of milk? Or you loaded the dishwasher wrong. The plates won't get clean. To us, these are small, logical corrections. To a man, this is a constant dripping tap of inadequacy. Every correction sends a micro message. You are not doing it right. You are not competent. I know better. Imagine if your boss followed you around all day, correcting how you type, how you sit, and how you speak. Eventually, you would hate that job. You should stop trying. Criticism is the single fastest way to kill a man's romantic desire and his happiness. It triggers his defense mechanisms. When he feels attacked, even in small ways, he puts up his armor, and you cannot be intimate with a man who is wearing armor. So for 1 week, you are going cold turkey. If he loads the dishwasher wrong, let it be wrong. If he takes a wrong turn while driving, look out the window and say nothing. If he forgets a chore, do not remind him with a sigh. This sounds terrifying because it feels like you are losing control. But watch what happens. When you stop correcting him, 2 magical things occur. First, the tension in the house evaporates. He stops walking on eggshells. He realizes that you are not scanning him for errors. He begins to relax his shoulders. Second, by stepping back, you create a vacuum that he will eventually step into. When you stop micromanaging, you give him the space to step up. It might not happen on day 1, but it will happen. This challenge is not about letting him get away with things forever. It is a reset button. It is a radical intervention to break the cycle of negativity. You are proving to him and to yourself that your connection is more important than your perfectionism. You are choosing peace over being right. And trust me, nothing makes a husband happier than a wife who chooses peace. Creating the soft landing. The final piece of restoring emotional safety is mastering the transition. We call this creating the soft landing. Think about the first 10 minutes when you see each other at the end of the day. For most couples, this is the logistics zone. He walks in or you walk in and immediately the barrage begins. Did you pick up the dry cleaning? The dog threw up. Your mom called. The bill is due. We do this because we are partners managing a life together. But biologically, this is a disaster for connection. If the first thing he encounters when he sees you is a list of demands or problems, his brain associates you with stress. He essentially walks out of a high-pressure work environment right into a high-pressure home environment. There is no relief. To make him happy again, you need to change the anchor. You want his brain to associate your face with relief, not responsibility. Here is the rule. For the first 10 minutes after he walks through the door, no problems, no bad news, no logistics. Instead, greet him like you used to when you were dating. When you hear the key in the lock, stop what you are doing. Go to the door, smile, give him a kiss, a real one, not a peck on the cheek. Look him in the eye and say, "I'm so glad you're home." That's it. You don't need to have a 3-course dinner ready. You don't need to be dressed in evening wear. You just need to offer warmth. By creating this soft landing, you are signaling to him that the battle is over. You are the safe harbor. You are the place where he can put down his shield. Even if you have had a terrible day, pause it for 10 minutes. Let the dust settle. When a man knows that he gets a soft landing, he starts to rush home. He starts looking forward to that moment of entry. He feels appreciated and seen not just as a paycheck or a co-parent, but as a man. And once he has had that moment to decompress and connect with you, you will find that he is infinitely more willing and able to help you with the problems and logistics later in the evening. You are setting the tone. You are inviting him back into the relationship. And now that we have established safety, we can move on to the next step, igniting his drive to be your hero. Step 2, the hero instinct and appreciation, the ego understanding his need to provide. We have established safety. We have stopped the criticism. Now we need to talk about fuel. Just as a car runs on gas, your husband runs on a very specific type of emotional fuel. And frankly, in the modern world, he is running on empty. This brings us to step 2, triggering the hero instinct. To understand this, we have to look at how the world has changed. For thousands of years, a man's role was crystal clear. He was the provider and the protector. If there was a storm, he built the shelter. If there was a predator, he fought it. His value to his family and his own sense of self-worth was directly tied to his utility. He knew he was needed because survival depended on him. Fast forward to today. You are a modern, capable woman. You likely have a career. You can pay your own bills. You can call a plumber if the pipe bursts. You can order dinner on an app. You are independent and strong. That is a wonderful thing, and you should never diminish your strength. However, this shift has created a silent crisis for men. In a world where you can do everything yourself, he is left asking a quiet, terrifying question: do I still matter? Does she actually need me? When a man feels unnecessary, he feels unloved. It is that simple. If he feels like just another paycheck or an extra pair of hands that you have to manage, his spirit withers. A huge part of his happiness is tied to the feeling that he is adding value to your life that no one else can. He craves the feeling of being your hero. Now, hero doesn't mean he needs to rescue you from a burning building. It means he needs to feel that his presence makes your life better, easier, and safer. When he fixes a squeaky door, he isn't just doing a chore. In his mind, he is protecting his castle. When he works late, he isn't just avoiding you. He is trying to secure resources for the family. But if he comes home and you say, "I already fixed the door because you took too long," or "I don't need your money, I make my own," you might feel proud of your independence, but you have accidentally crushed his purpose. You have signaled that he is redundant. To make him happy again, we have to intentionally carve out space for him to provide for you. This isn't about playing dumb or weak. It is about understanding that for him, providing is his love language. When you allow him to be useful, you are feeding a deep, primal hunger in his soul. You are validating his existence as a man. And when a man feels that his strength is seen, valued, and needed by the woman he loves, he comes alive, he stands taller, he engages more. He wants to do more because he finally feels that his efforts land somewhere. The art of specific praise. So how do we feed this hero instinct? We do it through the art of specific praise. Most couples fall into a habit of transactional manners. He passes the salt, you say thanks. He takes out the trash, you say thanks. This is polite, but it is emotionally empty. It is white noise. It doesn't register in his brain as appreciation. It registers as social protocol. To truly wake him up and make him feel happy, you need to change how you thank him. You need to move from acknowledging the task to acknowledging the man and the impact. There is a simple formula for this. The action sucks, the character traits are how it made you feel. Let's look at the difference. Level 1's a basic. Thanks for picking up the kids. Level 2 are hero instinct. Thank you for picking up the kids today. I know traffic was a nightmare. The action. You are such a patient dad, the character trait. It made my afternoon so much less stressful knowing you had it handled, the feeling. Do you see the difference? The first one acknowledges a chauffeur. The second one acknowledges a partner who protects you from stress. When you tell a man how his actions made you feel, specifically that he made you feel safe, happy, or relieved, it triggers a massive dopamine release in his brain. You are connecting his effort directly to your happiness. Men are goal-oriented creatures. His goal deep down is to please you. When you give him specific praise, you are essentially giving him a receipt that says, mission accomplished, you won. If he fixes something around the house, don't just say, good job. Say, I love how handy you are. It makes me feel so safe living in a house that you take such good care of. If he handles a difficult financial situation, say, I admire how hard you work for us. I feel so secure knowing you're steering the ship. This might feel repetitive or over the top at first. Do it anyway. He is starving for this. In a world that constantly beats him down, critiquing his performance at work or in society, you have the power to be the mirror that reflects his best self back to him. When you start doing this, you will notice something fascinating. He will start doing more of the things you praised. If you praise his cooking, he will want to cook more. If you praise his driving, he will insist on driving. We tend to grow into the people our partners see us as. If you see him as your hero and tell him so, he will strive to become that man every single day. Letting him win the final piece of this chapter is something that challenges many modern women letting him win. This is about relinquishing control in small, strategic ways to build intimacy. Many of us are control freaks by necessity. We run tight ships. We know exactly how the towels should be folded and exactly which route to take to the grocery store because we are capable. We often default to doing everything ourselves because it is faster or done right. But remember, efficiency is the enemy of intimacy. If you want a happy husband, you have to give him opportunities to succeed. You have to hand him the ball so he can score a touchdown. This means asking for his help even when you don't strictly need it. I call this the pickle jar philosophy. Maybe you can open that tight jar of pickles by yourself if you really struggle with it. But handing it to him and saying, babe, can you get this? You're stronger than me, does something powerful. It gives him a quick, easy win. It's a physical reminder of his masculinity. This applies to bigger things too. If you are struggling with a conflict at work, instead of just venting, ask him, I'm really stuck on this problem with my boss. What would you do? When you ask for his advice, you are signaling respect. You are saying, I value your brain. I value your perspective. He wants to solve problems for you. When you present him with a problem and let him offer a solution, and then actually listen to that solution, he feels immense satisfaction. This requires you to step back. It requires you to bite your tongue when he drives a different route than you would have taken. It requires you to let him load the car for the road trip his way, even if it's not your way. When you stop competing with him for the role of chief operating officer of the family and start letting him take the lead in certain areas, he stops feeling like your assistant and starts feeling like your partner. You aren't losing power, you are empowering him. And a man who feels empowered in his own home is a man who is happy, engaged, and deeply in love with the woman who gave him that feeling. Step 3, decoding his non-verbal language, face. To face his side. By side, we have built safety and we have fed his ego. Now, we need to tackle the area that causes the most frustration in marriage's communication. How many times have you felt a disconnect and thought, we need to sit down and talk about this? You pour a cup of coffee, sit at the kitchen table, look him in the eye and ask him how he's feeling. And what happens? He clams up, he looks uncomfortable, he gives you short answers, you feel like you are pulling teeth, and he feels like he is under investigation. Here is the biological reality. Men and women are wired to bond differently. For women, intimacy is often established face to face. Biological anthropologists have noted that female bonding creates a release of oxytocin through direct eye contact and verbal sharing. When you look at your best friend and pour your heart out, you feel safer, you feel loved. For men, however, face-to-face communication, especially about emotions, can trigger a fight or flight response. In the primal brain, sustained, direct eye contact is often a sign of aggression or challenge. When you sit him down and stare into his eyes to discuss the relationship, his cortisol levels spike. He doesn't feel loved. He feels like he is being interviewed by the police. He feels the spotlight is on him and he has to perform the right answers to escape the room. Men bond side by side. Think about how men interact with their male friends. They watch a game together. They fish together. They fix a car together. They stand shoulder to shoulder looking out at a third object. This is where they feel safe. This is where they open up. If you want to make your husband happy and actually get him to talk to you, you need to stop forcing face-to-face talks and start creating side by side moments. If you have something important to discuss, don't do it across the dinner table. Do it while you are driving in the car. When you are both looking at the road, the pressure is off. He doesn't have to manage his facial expressions. He can think. You will find he is 10 times more likely to open up about his fears or feelings while driving than he is sitting on the sofa. Do it while you are walking the dog. Do it while you are folding laundry together. This shift is magical because it changes the dynamic from me vis you to use ves, the world. When you stand side by side, you are partners looking out at a shared horizon. He relaxes, his guard comes down. So the next time you feel that distance and you want to bridge it, resist the urge to say, we need to talk. Instead, say, hey, will you come help me with this in the garage? Or let's go for a drive, get into his physical orientation, and you will unlock his emotional mind. The 10-second pause rule, once you are side by side and the conversation starts flowing, you need to master a tool that will save you from endless misunderstandings. I call this the 10-second pause rule. Here is a common scenario. You ask your husband a question. How do you feel about us going to my mother's for Christmas? He says nothing. 1 second passes, 2 seconds pass, silence. In that silence, your anxiety spikes. You interpret his silence as anger, hesitation, or ignoring you. So you jump in to fill the void. You say, we don't have to, I just thought it would be nice, or why aren't you answering me? You have just interrupted his processing time. Men and women process emotional data differently. Women are often verbal processors. We think while we speak. We figure out how we feel by talking it out loud. Men are often internal processors. When you ask a man a question involving feelings or plans, he takes that data into his brain, mulls it over, formulates a conclusion, and then speaks. That silence, that isn't him ignoring you. That is him thinking. That is him taking your question seriously enough to formulate a real answer. But when you jump in after 3 seconds because the silence feels awkward, you reset his clock. He has to stop processing, listen to your new sentence, and start over. Eventually, he gets frustrated and just says, I don't care, do whatever you want. The 10-second rule is simple. When you ask him a question, count to 10 in your head. Slowly. 1, 2, 3. It will feel like an eternity. You will want to fill the space. Don't give him the respect of time. You will be amazed at what happens around the second 7 or 8. He will speak. And because you gave him space, his answer will be thoughtful, calm, and honest. He will feel incredibly respected because you didn't rush him. You didn't badger him. You just waited. This creates a rhythm of safety in your communication. He learns that he doesn't have to snap out and answer instantly. He learns that you are willing to listen to him, not just talk to him. This lowers his stress levels instantly and makes talking to you a pleasure, not a chore. Listening to what the final piece of decoding his language requires you to put on a new pair of glasses. You have to stop listening with your ears and start listening with your eyes. You need to learn to listen to what he does. Women are generally more verbally affluent. We use words to define love. We say, I love you, I appreciate you, you are my best friend. We crave hearing those words back. But for many men, words are cheap. Action is the only currency that matters. Your husband may not have told you you look beautiful today. He may not have written you a poem for your anniversary, and that can hurt. It can make you feel unloved. But did he go out in the freezing cold to warm up your car so you wouldn't be chilly on your way to work? Did he fix that broken shelf you mentioned 3 weeks ago? Did he work overtime to pay for the vacation you want? In his mind, he is screaming, I love you, at the top of his lungs. He is saying it with every oil change. He is saying it with every bill he pays. He is saying it by checking the locks at night to make sure you are safe. This is covert intimacy. If you miss this, you will constantly feel empty and he will constantly feel unappreciated. He will think, I do everything for her, and she still says, I don't love her. To make him happy, you have to validate his language. You have to catch him in the act of doing. When you see him doing a mundane chore, realize that is his version of a love letter. Acknowledge it. Say, I noticed you filled up my gas tank. Thank you for taking care of me. When you start translating his actions into love, 2 things happen. First, you feel better because you realize you are loved more than you thought. Second, he feels understood. He feels that you get him. You don't need to force him to become a poet. You just need to learn to read the poetry of his actions. When a man feels that his efforts are recognized as love, he feels a deep, quiet sense of happiness and connection that words can rarely touch. Step 4, the return of playfulness, escaping the manager role. We have laid the groundwork of safety, appreciation, and communication. Now, we need to inject life back into the relationship. We need to talk about the energy you bring into the room. This brings us to step 4, restoring playfulness. To understand why playfulness dies, we have to look at the silent killer of modern marriages, the manager dynamic. Life is heavy between raising children, managing careers, paying mortgages, and keeping a household running. You have likely become an expert at logistics. You are the chief operating officer of the family. You know who needs to be at soccer practice, what groceries are missing, and when the insurance is due. This competence is what keeps your family afloat. But here is the danger. It is impossible to be a manager and a lover at the same time. They require completely different energies. Manager energy is serious. It is efficient. It is critical. It focuses on what is wrong and what needs to be fixed. It carries a clipboard, metaphorically or literally. Lover energy is light. It is spontaneous. It focuses on pleasure and connection. The problem arises when you get stuck in manager mode 24/7. When your husband walks in the door, if you immediately greet him with, "Did you call the bank? Why are your shoes there? We need to discuss the budget." You are not his wife at that moment. You are his supervisor. And nobody wants to sleep with their supervisor. If he feels like he is constantly being managed, he will rebel. He will drag his feet. He will become passive. And most importantly, he will stop having fun with you. He will look for his fun elsewhere, maybe in video games, maybe with his buddies, or maybe just in scrolling on his phone. To make him happy again, you have to consciously take off the manager hat. You have to decide that your relationship is not a business to be run, but a playground to be enjoyed. This doesn't mean the bills don't get paid. It means you compartmentalize. Set a specific time for business meetings, maybe 20 minutes on Sunday night. The rest of the week, you're off the clock. When you look at him, try to see the man you dated, not the employee who is failing to meet his household KPIs. When you drop the heavy energy of management, you create space for the light energy of attraction to return. Flirting like you just met once you have hung up the manager hat. What do you replace it with? You replace it with the energy you had at the very beginning. You need to start flirting like you just met. I know what you are thinking. We've been married 15 years. Flirting feels silly. It feels fake. It feels silly because you are out of practice. But flirting is the oxygen of romantic love. It is the signal that says, I desire you, not just because you pay the bills, but because you are a man. When was the last time you sent him a text message that wasn't about logistics? Most wives' text history with their husbands looks like a grocery list. Pick up Mick. Don't forget the kids. Running late. I want you to try something today. Send him a text right now that has no purpose other than to make him smile. Send him a picture of you smiling with the caption, thinking about you. Send him a text that says, you looked really handsome in that shirt this morning. Send him a memory. Remember that time we got lost in Italy? I was just laughing about that. This is digital foreplay. When his phone buzzes at work and he sees a message from you that isn't a demand, it shocks his system in the best way possible. It reminds him that he has a girlfriend, not just a co-parent. And at home, bring back the physical tease. Brush past him in the hallway a little too closely. Wink at him across the dinner table when the kids aren't looking. Laugh at his jokes, even the bad ones. Flirting is a low-pressure way to build tension. It isn't a demand for sex. It is a playful invitation. It says, I see you. I like you. When you become the source of lightness in his day, he becomes addicted to your presence. Men gravitate toward women who make them feel good about themselves. Flirting is the easiest, fastest way to tell him that he is still the man who caught your eye all those years ago. It breaks the monotony of the routine and reminds him that there is still a spark waiting to be fanned into a flame. The science of laughter, the final component of playfulness, is perhaps the most underrated medicine for a struggling marriage. Laughter. We often think of intimacy as deep, serious conversations or intense physical connection, but neurologically, laughter is one of the most powerful bonding agents available to humans. When you laugh with someone, your brain releases a cocktail of oxytocin and endorphins. It literally lowers your cortisol stress levels and creates an associative memory bridge that says, this person's safety and joy. Think about your husband's life. If he is like most men, his world is full of pressure. Pressure to perform at work. Pressure to be a good dad, pressure to navigate the news and the economy. The world is a serious, often hostile place. He needs an escape. He needs a place where he can put down the weight of the world. If you can be the person who makes him laugh, you become his drug of choice. But many couples have stopped laughing. They have become so bogged down in the serious business of life that the house is always quiet and tense. You need to be the one to break that tension. Stop taking everything so seriously. If the dinner burns, instead of getting upset, make a joke about ordering pizza. If he makes a mistake, find the humor in it instead of the lecture. Watch a comedy special together instead of the grim nightly news. Share funny videos with him. Bring up old inside jokes. Every couple has them, those stupid, silly things that only the two of you understand.
Dust them off. Use them.
Remember when we tried to assemble that bookshelf and almost got a divorce? We survived that. We can survive this Tuesday. When you laugh with him, not at him, you are dismantling his defenses. You are showing him that you are on his team. You are showing him that life with you is fun. A happy husband is almost always a husband who laughs often. If you can make your home a place of lightness, a place where he smiles the moment he walks in because he knows the atmosphere is joyful, you have won the battle. You have made yourself the most magnetic thing in his world. You have become his happiness. Step 5, physical intimacy beyond the bedroom. The touch starvation epidemic. We have lightened the mood with playfulness. But now we need to deepen the bond with something primal. We need to talk about touch. And I want to be very clear, I am not just talking about sex. I am talking about the daily, non-sexual physical contact that keeps a marriage alive. This brings us to step 5, physical intimacy beyond the bedroom. To understand why this matters, you have to understand a silent epidemic facing millions of men, touch starvation. In our society, women generally have much more physical contact in their daily lives than men do. Women hug their friends. They sit close to each other on the sofa. They touch a friend's arm when they are laughing. It is socially acceptable and encouraged for women to be physically affectionate with their platonic circle. Men do not have this luxury. Cultural norms tell men that touching other men is weak or weird. A man does not hug his buddy for 20 seconds when he is sad. He does not hold his friend's hand for comfort. For the vast majority of married men, you are the only source of comforting touch in his entire life. You are his only physical outlet. When that touch disappears, or when it is relegated only to the bedroom for sex, he begins to suffer from what psychologists call skin hunger. He feels physically isolated. Many wives unknowingly fall into a trap where they only touch their husbands for 2 reasons: logistics. Here, take this plate. Let's go upstairs. If the only time you touch him affectionately is when you want sex, he starts to feel objectified. Or if you have a lower libido than him, you might stop touching him entirely because you are afraid that holding his hand will be interpreted as a green light for sex that you aren't ready for. So you pull away. This creates a devastating cycle. He feels rejected and starved. He becomes irritable. He withdraws emotionally. You feel his coldness and pull back further. To make him happy again, you have to break this cycle. You have to reintroduce harmless touch that has no agenda. Touch that isn't leading to sex and isn't about moving him out of the way. It is simply a touch that says, I am here. You are real. I am connected to you. When a man receives this kind of non-demanding physical contact, his anxiety drops, his aggression lowers, he feels held by his wife, not just physically, but emotionally. It is the most powerful non-verbal way to tell him that he is not alone in this world. The 20-second hug. Now that we understand the necessity of touch, let's get practical. I am going to give you a specific tool that is backed by neuroscience, and it is arguably the fastest way to reset a stressed marriage. It is called the 20-second hug. Most couples hug, but they are frame hugs. You lean in, tap shoulders, pat on the back, and pull away. The average hug lasts about 3 seconds. While this is a nice gesture physiologically, it does almost nothing. It's a greeting, not a connection. Dr. John Gottman and other relationship researchers have discovered that there is a magic threshold for physical connection: 20 seconds. When you hug someone for 20 seconds or longer, a chemical shift happens in your body. At around the 20-second mark, your brain releases a surge of oxytocin. This is often called the cuddle hormone or the bonding hormone. It is the same chemical released when a mother nurses her infant. Oxytocin acts as a powerful antidote to cortisol, the stress hormone. It lowers blood pressure. It slows the heart rate. It creates a profound biological sensation of safety and trust. I want you to try this when he comes home today. Walk up to him. Wrap your arms around him. Press your body against his, chest to chest, belly to belly, and hold him. He will try to pull away after 3 seconds because that is the habit. Don't let go. Squeeze him a little tighter. He might ask, what's wrong? Just whisper, nothing, I just missed you. And keep holding. Somewhere around second 10 or 15, you will feel a physical shift in his body. You will feel his shoulders drop. You will feel him exhale a breath he didn't know he was holding. He will melt into you. That is the moment that oxytocin hits. that is the moment his nervous system syncs with yours. In that hug, you are doing more than just saying hello. You are regulating his emotions. You are physically absorbing his stress and replacing it with your warmth. If you do this every single day, just one 20-second hug, you will change the biochemistry of your marriage. You are building a reservoir of goodwill. He will start to crave that moment. He will start to feel calmer around you. It requires 0 words. It requires 0 money, but it communicates a level of support and love that 1,000 conversations could never achieve. It reminds his primal brain that you are his home. Initiating without pressure, the final piece of physical intimacy is learning how to initiate without pressure. Many women wait for the man to initiate all physical contact. We have been taught that men are the pursuers. But in a marriage that has drifted apart, he may have stopped pursuing because he fears rejection. If he has reached for you in the past and you have pulled away, or if he feels like he is always the one asking for affection, he eventually stops asking to protect his ego. He needs to know that he is still desired. He needs to know that his touch is welcome. You can bridge this gap with micro initiations. These are small, subtle gestures that signal acceptance without demanding a full sexual performance. It's sitting on the couch and resting your feet in his lap while you watch TV. It's walking past him in the kitchen and letting your hand trail across his back. It's placing your hand on his thigh while he is driving. It's scratching the back of his neck while he is reading. These gestures are low risk. They don't require you to put on lingerie or make a big speech. But they send a massive signal. They say, I am comfortable with you. I want to be near you. This is crucial for his happiness because it validates his masculinity. A man who feels physically rejected by his wife feels emasculated. A man who feels physically sought after, even in small ways, feels strong. And here is the secret. When you initiate non-sexual touch, you actually take the pressure off the bedroom. When touch is rare, every touch feels loaded. He thinks, she touched my arm. Does this mean we are having sex? That creates anxiety for both of you. But when touch is constant and casual, that pressure evaporates. Holding hands is just holding hands. A back rub is just a back rub. This creates a culture of affection in your home. It makes the physical bond a constant hum in the background of your life rather than a rare event. When you become the initiator of these small moments, you rebuild his confidence. You show him that the door is open. And when a man feels that the door is open, he becomes happy, confident, and eager to walk through it. Step 6, the power of your own happiness, independence. We are nearing the end of our journey, and step 6 might be the most counterintuitive step of all. Up until now, we have focused on how you treat him, how you touch him, how you talk to him, and how you praise him. But step 6 isn't about him at all. It is about you. To make your husband happy, you must first commit to your own happiness. There is a dangerous myth in marriage, especially for women, called the martyr myth. We are taught that the good wife is the one who sacrifices everything. She gives up her hobbies, her time, and her energy to serve the family. She eats the burnt toast so everyone else can have the good slices. She puts herself last on the list. While this comes from a place of love, psychologically, it is a disaster for romance. Why? Because of something called mirror neurons. The human brain is wired to mimic the emotional state of the people we are closest to. If you are constantly exhausted, anxious, resentful, or depleted because you have given everything away, you are broadcasting a frequency of stress. When your husband walks into the room, his mirror neurons pick up on that stress and his body literally tightens up. He might not know why he feels tense around you. He just knows that he does. Furthermore, men often view their wife's happiness as their report card. If you are unhappy, he feels like a failure. If you are constantly sighing, tired, or complaining, even if it has nothing to do with him, he internalizes it. He thinks, I can't make her happy. I'm not doing a good job. And as we learned earlier, when a man feels like he is failing, he withdraws. Therefore, the most selfish thing you can do is to be miserable. The most generous thing you can do for your marriage is to fill your own cup. When you are genuinely happy, when you are lit up, laughing, and energized, you become a magnet. Your husband looks at you and sees a woman who is thriving. His mirror neurons pick up on your joy, and he feels good just being near you. He feels successful because his wife is happy. This means that taking time for yourself isn't ignoring the family. Going to that yoga class, reading that book, or taking that long bath isn't a luxury. It is a strategic maintenance plan for the emotional engine of your marriage. You cannot be a source of warmth for him if your own fire has burned out. You have to tend to your own flame first. Reclaiming your mystery once you commit to your own happiness, you naturally stumble upon the next secret ingredient to a happy husband mystery. In the beginning of your relationship, he was obsessed with you. Why? Because you were a mystery. You had a life separate from him. You had friends he didn't know, stories he hadn't heard, and a schedule he didn't control. He had to earn your time. That gap between you and him created the spark. As the saying goes, fire needs air. Over the years, many couples merge so completely that the disappears. You do everything together. You know exactly what the other person is doing at every hour of the day. You become predictable. And while predictability is comfortable, it is the enemy of desire. To make him happy again, you need to reclaim your independence. You need to become a challenge again. This doesn't mean playing games. It means having a life that excites you outside of being his wife. What did you love to do before you got married? Did you paint? Did you run marathons? Did you volunteer? Pick something up that is yours. Go do it. Leave the house. When you leave to go do something you are passionate about, two things happen. First, he gets the house to himself, which, as we discussed with the caveat, every man secretly loves. Second, and more importantly, you come back different. When you walk through the door after a salsa class or a hiking trip with the girls, you are glowing. You have stories to tell. You have fresh energy. You are not just mom or wife, you are a woman with a life. He looks at you and realizes, wait a minute, she has a whole world that doesn't revolve around me. This triggers a healthy dose of anxiety, the good kind. It reminds him that you are a prize to be won, not a fixture in the furniture. It reminds him that you are an individual. Reclaiming your mystery forces him to step up. He realizes he can't take you for granted. He starts to ask, how was your night? Because he genuinely doesn't know. The conversation becomes fresh again. A man is happiest when he is with a woman who is complete on her own. He doesn't want a dependent. He wants a partner. He wants a woman who chooses him, not a woman who needs him for basic survival. When you shine on your own, you cast a light that he will want to stand in. Taking pressure off him, the final benefit of focusing on your own happiness is that it relieves him of an impossible burden. There is a romanticized idea in movies, thanks to Jerry Maguire, that says, you complete me. It sounds romantic, but in real life it is suffocating. If you look at your husband and silently say, you are responsible for my entertainment, my emotional stability, my self-esteem, and my joy, you are handing him a job description he cannot fulfill. No human being can be everything to another human being. When a man feels that he is your only source of happiness, he feels an immense crushing weight. He feels like he is walking a tightrope. If he has a bad day, your whole world crashes. If he wants to pursue a hobby, he feels guilty for leaving you alone. This pressure makes him resentful. It makes him want to escape. But when you start generating your own happiness, when you have your own friends, your own hobbies, and your own joy, you take that 100-pound weight off his shoulders. He realizes she's okay. She's happy. I don't have to fix her. And in that moment of relief, he becomes a better husband because he isn't acting out of obligation or guilt. He starts acting out of love. He starts wanting to join you in your happiness rather than feeling like he has to manufacture it for you. You become a bonus to his life, not a burden. He wants to come home to you because you are fun, not because you are needy. By taking responsibility for your own emotional state, you liberate him. And a liberated man is a happy man. He is free to love you simply because he loves you, and that is the purest, most sustainable fuel a marriage can have. Step 7, vision and legacy, the future, dreaming together again. We have arrived at the final step, step 7. This is the step that takes a good marriage and turns it into a great one. It is about shifting your focus from the present grind to the future glory. We call this dreaming together again. If you look at the conversations you have had with your husband over the last month, I am willing to bet that 90% of them were focused on the immediate present. What's for dinner? Who is picking up the kids? How are we paying for the roof repairs? This is survival mode. And while survival is necessary, it is not inspiring. Noddy wakes up excited to just survive another week of logistics. To make your husband happy again, you need to remind him of the journey you are on together. You need to reignite the use against the world mentality that you had when you were first dating. Back then, you didn't talk about mortgages. You talked about where you wanted to travel, what kind of house you wanted to build, and who you wanted to become. Men are teleological creatures, meaning they are driven by purpose and destination. A man feels most alive when he is moving toward a goal. If the only goal in his life right now is pay the bills until I die, he will feel a low-level depression. You have the power to change this. I want you to initiate a dream date. Go out to dinner or just sit on the porch with a glass of wine and set one rule: no talk about kids, bills, or problems. Ask him, if we could go anywhere in the world 3 years from now, where would we go? Ask him, what is one adventure we haven't taken yet that we need to put on the calendar? When you start talking about the future with excitement, you become his partner in the dream, not just his partner in the grind. You give him something to work for. You turn the ship around so that you are both looking at the same horizon. A husband who has a shared vision with his wife is a husband who feels anchored, directed, and deeply happy. The thank you ritual. Once you have a vision for the future, you need a daily habit to keep the connection strong in the present. This brings us to a simple, powerful tool, the thank you ritual. The human brain has a negativity bias. This is an evolutionary survival mechanism. We are wired to notice what is wrong: the tiger in the bushes, the storm on the horizon, or the sock left on the floor. We naturally scan for threats and problems. In a marriage, this means it is incredibly easy to notice the one thing he didn't do, while ignoring the 100 things he did do. To rewire this, you need a ritual. Here is the challenge every single night. Right before you go to sleep, I want you to say one specific thing to him. Thank you for, it doesn't have to be big. Thank you for making the coffee this morning. Thank you for wrestling with the kids so I could have a break. Thank you for working so hard for us. Why do this at night? Because the last thought you have before you drift off to sleep processes in your subconscious for the next 8 hours. If the last thing you say to him is a complaint, did you lock the door? You forgot yesterday. He goes to sleep feeling like a failure. If the last thing you say is gratitude, he goes to sleep feeling like a winner. This ritual forces you to scan your day for the positive. You spend the evening looking for something to thank him for. This shifts your entire perspective. And for him, it is a daily dose of validation. It is a quiet, consistent reminder that he is seen and appreciated. Over time, this tiny habit builds an impenetrable wall of positivity around your marriage. The compound effect of love. As we close this chapter, I want to address a fear you might have. You might be looking at these steps: the praise, the touch, the listening, and thinking, this seems so small. Can a 20-second hug really fix 20 years of distance? The answer lies in the compound effect. In finance, compound interest is the principle that small amounts of money invested consistently over time grow into massive wealth. The same is true for love. Marriages don't fall apart overnight. They fall apart because of the compound effect of neglect. One missed thank you, one rolled eye, one cold shoulder, multiplied by 10 years, that equals divorce. But the reverse is also true. Marriages are healed by the compound effect of small kindnesses. One hug doesn't change everything, but one hug every day for 6 months, that changes his nervous system. One compliment doesn't fix his self-esteem, but being praised every day for a year, that rewrites his identity. You are planting seeds. When you plant a seed, you don't see a tree the next day. You just see dirt. It requires faith to keep watering that dirt. But underneath the surface, roots are growing. If you apply these 7 steps consistently, even if you don't see immediate fireworks, you are changing the trajectory of your relationship. You are shifting the ship 1 degree to the north. Over a long voyage, that 1 degree is the difference between crashing into the rocks and arriving in paradise. Don't look for the quick fix. Look for the slow burn. Trust that kindness breeds kindness. Trust that love breeds love. If you stay the course, the momentum will eventually tip in your favor, and you will find yourself in a marriage that feels effortless, joyful, and deeply resilient. The new chapter, you hold the K. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground together. We have explored psychology, biology, communication, and intimacy. But before we part ways, I want to leave you with one final empowering truth. You hold the key. I know that sometimes being the one to initiate change feels unfair. You might be thinking, why do I have to be the thermostat? Why can't he just wake up and be the husband I need? I hear you. It is a heavy weight to carry, but flip that perspective for a moment. If you are the one with the power to change the temperature of the room, that means you are not a victim of your marriage. You are the architect of it. There is a concept in family therapy that describes the woman as the emotional heart of the home. When the heart beats with anxiety, the whole body shakes. But when the heart beats with calm, steady rhythm, the whole body relaxes. You have more influence over your husband than you realize. You have the power to disarm his anger with a soft word. You have the power to lift his depression with a smile. You have the power to make him feel like a king or a pauper just by the look in your eyes. This isn't about manipulation. It is about leadership. By choosing to apply these steps, You are leading your family out of the wilderness and into the promised land. You are breaking generational cycles of distance and coldness. You are modeling what love looks like for your children. So do not look at this list of steps as chores. Look at them as tools of liberation. You are taking your power back. You are deciding that you refuse to live in a roommate marriage any longer. You are deciding that you deserve passion, and you are going to create the environment where passion can survive. Summary of the 7 steps. Let's quickly recap the roadmap we have built today so that it stays fresh in your mind. Step 1, restore emotional safety. Stop the criticism. Remove the pressure. Become his safe harbor, not his judge. Step 2, trigger the hero instinct. Use specific praise to validate his utility. Let him win. Let him feel needed. Redecode his silence. Stop forcing face-to-face talks. Engage him side by side. Respect the 10-second pause and listen to his actions. Step 4, return to playfulness. Take off the manager hat. Flirt like a girlfriend. Bring laughter back into the house to lower the stress. Step, physical intimacy beyond the bedroom. Cure his touch starvation. Use the 20-second hug to rewire his nervous system. Initiate small touches without expectations. Step 6, your own happiness. Fill your own cup. Reclaim your mystery and independence so that you are a magnet, not a burden. Step 7, vision and legacy. Dream together again. Use the nightly thank ritual to focus on the positive and let the compound effect of love do its work. Here is my challenge to you. Do not try to do all 7 of these things tomorrow. That is a recipe for burnout. Just pick one. Maybe tonight it's just a hug. Maybe tomorrow it's just a text message. Start small. Watch the ripples. I want you to close your eyes for a second and picture your husband. Picture the version of him that you fell in love with. He is still there. He is just waiting for the safety to come out. You have the map now. Go find him. If this video gave you some clarity or hope today, please do me a favor. Click the like button. It helps this message reach other women who are struggling in silence. And I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 7 steps are you going to try first? Are you going to try the 0 criticism challenge or maybe the 20-second hug? Let me know. I love reading your stories, and this community is here to cheer you on. Subscribe if you want to keep learning the secrets of a happy relationship. You've got this. I'll see you in the next video.